Hello there, Jilly Wotton talking about overthinking. Over the years I've met so many of my clients who overthink things. And what does that mean? Well, it means where they kind of like live every event loads of times. So it could have been something that happened years and years ago, or just that morning or last night, where they just constantly replay the circumstances or the conversation through time and time again in their brain. So it could be something, as I've said, from a long time ago or just recently. But what tends to happen is we also get that really critical voice along with it as well. So we tend to have that overthinking, which is maybe what you could have done, what you should have done, what you didn't do. And then on top of it, we get that really critical voice of, that's because I'm stupid, that's because I'm a loser, that's because I'm not very interesting, I didn't take that opportunity, I'm stupid. So most rumination, which causes problems with people, and it's why they come to see a coach like me, is because it's this twofold thing of rehashing the past, but also that incredibly critical voice. So it can happen even when you're with people that you feel pretty comfortable with. So say a group of friends or sometime your family, and what can happen is you're with them thinking, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not interesting enough, I've got nothing to say, and then you're worried about how they think of you and how they might be judging you. So the whole thing becomes a deeply stressful habit. And overthinking is just that. It's just a habit. And it's called rumination. And the problem with rumination, and it's the reason why I talk about overthinking a lot in the work that I do, is because it's a kind of like a fast track way to feeling rubbish, to feeling down. And because there's so much energy going into overthinking and trying to work things through and worrying about stuff, that it's a massive drain of energy. So when we ruminate, when we overthink things, it can feel really stressful. It can give us feelings of anxiety and worry and stress in our mind and body, and also can just rob us of energy. The other thing that it does is it takes us into our own world. So we're so kind of like, oh, he said this, she said that, what am I going to do about that? That we get this kind of like tunnel vision, if you like. So it's really hard to kind of take on board new perspectives, or even judge whether what we're thinking about is true or not. You know, with the conclusions that we're coming to, we tend to believe when we're in this sort of polarized, it's almost like a trance state. Our attention gets kind of like the gates of our attention get closer and closer and closer until we're just involved in that train of thinking. Now, the other problem that we have when we ruminate a lot, when we overthink, is that we tend to think we're a medium. We're like some sort of card reader, and that we can just predict the future. So not only do we go and we go over and over things that have happened in the past, but things in the future, we think, well, if I do that and she does that and he says this, then that will happen. And we just, again, really overthink and even predict the future. So there's a couple of things that I really suggest that you do. And the first thing is that most rumination is habit. And it's a habit that's been caused in the past by stress, or it's a habit that's been formed by kind of a belief system that you've picked up along the way, normally from when we're really young, kind of under 10, a lot of these things. So it can be a habit gained from a well-meaning caregiver, or if we had difficulties when we were younger, if we had a difficult event that might have caused that rumination. And when I'm talking about overthinking and rumination here, I think it's really important at this point to kind of put it into context, because if you have had something really horrible happen and your mind keeps going back to that, that rumination is caused by something different. And it might be that there's an element of what we call post-traumatic stress disorder involved in that, even if it's low level, and you might need to seek it's something that you need to seek professional help about. If you think that you might have that, just DM me and tell me what's going on, and I'll set up a dialogue with you and help you with that. So the main thing that when we're looking at overthinking, it is a habit, it is born from stress. So we need to do whatever we can to get our stress levels down. And I'm going to be doing an early morning deep dive into this tomorrow in my private Facebook group, which is Your Empowered Life. The link will be to it here, just in the copy above. But what I'd like to do is just to give you a couple of things now that you can use right from today to help you just start the process of coming away from this rumination, because the other side of rumination is calmness, more energy, more zest for life, and the ability to find problems. Because when we're looped up in this habit of he said, she said, and I don't know, we're looped up into this kind of like mechanism of control, and it's really hard to solve problems. So the first thing is breathing exercises, or anything that you know, whether it be exercising, whether it be journaling, all sorts of things that can help just bring down your stress levels. Eating better, cutting out the cakes and sugars, stuff like that, they can all really help. But one thing that can help is start to journal and start to recognise when you're going into this rumination, and just catch yourself, because rumination is a really seductive thing. It can just pull us deeper and deeper into it, and before we know it, we've lost sort of half an hour, or we haven't listened to the last 5 to 10 minutes of the conversation that we were involved in, or were supposed to be involved in. So start to notice when you do it and change what you're doing. So if you're with a group of people, say, I just need to go to the loo, or just take a couple of deep breaths. Focus on somebody else's words. Focus on something else. Try to break yourself away from that trance state and the pull of the thoughts. So the second thing is, if you're on your own when you're doing it and you find your thoughts going round and round, another good thing is to do what we call pattern interruption. And that is, if you sat having a cup of tea and you're just in your own world, stop what you're doing, get up, do a little dance, go, even sit there and bursting into song can say to the brain, there's something else going on and this needs to switch, and it needs to switch now. So it's almost like it breaks you out of the trance state. And I know it sounds quite mad, but I've done it myself, and it really does work, and my clients do it, and it's along with the other things I can suggest, it's a really helpful mechanism for helping you to stop rumination. And remember that stopping it is a process. If you've been doing it for years and years and years, it's often wrapped up with low self-esteem and just the pure, simple habit of doing it, and an element of a belief that you need to control the situation. So join the group, come and listen. If you're listening to this after Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock, then just join us anyway, because you can get the replay. And Your Empowered Life is all about just empowering us to live our very, very best life, to have more opportunity, to really step up. So if you're ready to step up, come and join us, and I look forward to seeing some of you within the group. I hope this was helpful.